Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Hope you guys been enjoying the content channel as of late. I hopefully will have this video uploaded here in about an hour or so because I actually need to get into work in about an hour or so. So hopefully we'll have this up. If not, it'll be up hopefully on Wednesday. So excuse me for using my computer camera again. I just don't have time, literally, to record this in a nice fancy way. Um, so, so for today, I wanted to discuss something that I thought I kind of was like, I don't know if I want to, just because I kind of already addressed it, but my opinion on this has changed a little bit. So I figured just to dedicate a video to this, which was in regards to just the online community, as it were, and this kind of came about because there was some, I guess you could say, controversy, I guess, that was revolving around the YouTuber Chris Stuckmann, who we've talked about before, very recently, actually, with his film that came out, Shelby Oaks, which did not necessarily do all that well. And apparently, he did a review for, I believe it was the new Wicked film, and he had some advertisements, some sponsorships, and sponsorship, very conveniently so, was in correlation with his review of the movie he was talking about. It was like a gambling app stuff, and then in the promotion they were talking about Wicked, as part of the promotion as well. So it came across pretty, you know, uh, shilly, as the term is. And that's the kind of the idea that I want to address today, which was the idea of sellouts. And what does that mean? And does that apply to everybody? And, you know, the simple answer really is, well, yes. Sellouts, I mean, all people online are basically that of sellouts, to some extent. I think that what makes it more reasonable than others is the extent to that mentality, because I did a video about this a long time ago. I'll link it at the end of this video, and I had a little bit more of a stark, or more like straight faced type of opinion on this, but been trying to be more, more lenient, more flexible when it comes to understanding stuff. um, and there's two different points of view that I think you can derive when it comes to this sort of thing. Um, Obviously, in the more apparent, way of looking at it, it's um, there's a lot of people out there who do what they do because they want to get paid. They want to make money. They want to be able to, uh, start up a business of some kind. That's their MO when they start up, these YouTube type spaces and stuff like that. They're interested in for something else, and the YouTube area of that is simply just a means of getting to that place. Case in point, Chris Stuckmann. Chris Stuckmann, if you've ever followed his channel, and I used to, um, he's talked about for a while that he was wanting to direct and write things, and he wanted to develop stuff. So it wasn't like out of the blue he just decided, oh, well, I'm just gonna, now do this. It's something that he's been doing for a while, and the YouTube page was just an outlet. It's a place for him to express himself, at least when in the film front. And to that extent, to wanting to move in a certain direction, you know, yes, in the essence of having to go to the ad industry, having to, to collaborate with a studio, there is a part of that is shilly, because once you get yourself involved with these heavy distributors and these big studio heads, there's a lot of things that need to be made of you in order to stay in good business with these companies. NDAs, a lack of, real civic opinions, because you're now in service of a corporation. Now, if he made his film, right, and it was completely self-financed and it was independent, and he didn't rely upon a big distributor like Neon when it came to his film Shelby Oaks, I think then it would be a lot more understanding, because at least there he's more flexible, he's able to express himself more, he doesn't feel the need to worry about a sponsorship, or whatever hovering over his head. He doesn't have to worry about all any of that stuff, right? But now he does, because he's got himself wrapped up in that space, and he's wanting to continue to participate in that space. So I tried to record this, but my kitty was wanting to just get in the room, and then I recorded literally 8 minutes, and then my camera just died out. I completely forgot about how this camera works, so I'm gonna try to keep this short and sweet because I already said all what I wanted to say. But in short, basically, like a lot of the mentalities today, stem from the relations to what they're wanting to do. Like in the case of Chris Stuckmann, like I was saying, him having to gain a big distributor, and for him to partake in that space in a very specific way. Um, he is, he is he wants attention. I mean, that's the just the honest way of saying it, And if he didn't do it that way, right? If he went about it without gaining big distribution and not having to worry about who is seeing it, and strictly doing it maybe for people who backed his campaign, then that's a different story entirely, you know. But that's not what he wants, obviously, and it's not like necessarily bad, because people, they have what they want to do. People want to pursue a life like that, totally fine. But it's just recognizing also the hypocrisies. It's also recognizing just the spirit of which you have to take on the NDAs, the distributors, the financiers, the investors. All these people are going to be kind of dictating the language of how you speak and ultimately what you can express online. Case in point, Chris Stuckman's channel is now strictly that of positivity, just strictly a positive review, not necessarily addressing the negatives, because he doesn't want to step on anyone's toes. He doesn't want uh, to alienate himself from any studios that he may or may not want to work with in the future, which realistically is probably a little bit shaky, because his film didn't really do all that well. I said in my box office recap. I mean, Neon themselves might be happy just because they only partaked in about like $1 million. They funded about 1 million, and the film at least made about 2 million or so, I think. So I mean, they're at least happy. So he might, in fact, have a future with them. Um, but uh, the spirit is still prevalent. It's evident, that he is having to bend the knee, and that is his own choices. And I would personally not want to make those choices, because I think that jeopardizes just my own morality, and also I would just do away with the channel, if you ask me. And this extends to a lot of other people, like people like Collider. That girl's Grace Randolph too, and she's always talking, interviews and stuff like that, talking to celebrities. Jeremy Johns, a lot of these people, they're not necessarily uh, legit, because they are always having to partake in things like interviews and premieres and press junkets, because they're always wanting to reside within that industry, but they don't want to cause too much of a of a shakeup or a ruckus, because they don't want to jeopardize their stance in the industry either. And yeah, again, that is being shilly. Um, there's perhaps some level of understanding to it, because ultimately, people have their desires, but it's about what you're forfeiting in the end that I think kind of makes or breaks, or kind of makes that decision more understanding than in other ways. So those are my thoughts. I'm not, like people are people. They have their own decisions that they make, but I'm just kind of addressing the apparent hypocrisy, that happens. And you know, it's also, in the case of Chris Stuckmann, it's like, just again, like the advertisements, like, yeah, that was pretty like on the nose. It's like you're talking about Wicked, and then you have a sponsorship that essentially is backed by Wicked in some regard. It's a gambling app, sure, but Wicked is being advertised in that app. It's like, yeah, it's pretty like, okay, um, like stuff like that's like, yeah, that's kind of like weird, and apparent, that he is trying to serve to a corporation. Um, it really is how you go about it, that I think is going to make or break, or make those decisions understanding, you know. Otherwise, it's like it just kind of illustrates the kind of the point of why I've never wanted to really partake. I mean, I do things like auditions and stuff like that from time to time, but it's for projects that I'm actually curious of looking at, not necessarily because I want to partake in that industry and stuff like that. It's just because I just like the fun of that creative space, not necessarily just because I want to make a quick buck, you know. So, it's all about how you navigate it at the end of the day. I'm not saying you shouldn't pursue what you want to do, just understand what you're doing and understand ultimately if you're jeopardizing anything about yourself, and if you're willing to do that, and what does that mean for you if you're willing to do that? Like, these are questions that people should be asking themselves, and sometimes it's not asked and they do what they do. And sometimes it could be more understandable. A lot of times though, it's like, all right, I mean, do you, I guess. But it just seems like you're trying to appease people just so you gain access to things like premieres, distribution, like a lot of people who do the press junkets too, they're there for very similar reasons too. Like, they're there to like talk to people, try to get connections and stuff like that. That's just a part of the game, unfortunately. And that's part of the reason also why I don't want to partake in it, because it's just kind of just wrong. Morally, it just feels wrong. But you guys, let me know your thoughts. Do you guys feel like a lot of the online community is kind of shilly and stuff? It's very apparently so, at least to me. But it's like, you do you. It's like, I'm not talking shit. It's like, it's obviously I disagree with how people choose to live that life, but it's it is what it is. So, but you guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below in regards to the online community. How people are in that community, and just the spirits. Do you guys feel the same? Do you feel like there's a lot of people out here are selling out, or do you guys feel like that there's a lot more sincerity going on? Let me know. Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below. And that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.